We're here with Emily Best. She is the founder and the chief architect of Seed and Spark, a platform for fundraising your projects. And she is a wealth, a fountain of information. I've heard you speak. I've heard some of your. We spent time at a festival together, and I've heard. Is it Angela? One of your. Erica, I'm so sorry. I've heard her speak a couple of times. Always a good, informative time. So I apologize to Erica profusely for screwing her name up.
No.
But this is Emily Best and her friend.
Oh, this is Alistair, who I'm keeping on my lap because then he's less likely to bark and interrupt us.
All right, no worries. Well, that's cool. We're glad Alistair can be here with us. I'm just going to change the window a little bit. There we go. Okay, so Emily, behind me, students, if you're seen on camera, would you raise your hand so you have give us your permission to record? Those who've walked in recently, would you shout your name out so I can take attendance? Duke? And who? Who came in before Duke? Yeah. Okay. I'm in Zach. All right. Excellent. All right. So Emily, would you please explain? These are college students. They're filmmakers. They're probably mostly writer, director, screenwriter candidates. They have their own projects that they want to do. They have projects that they need to complete for their major. But would you explain crowdfunding and why and how? Because what I'm hoping we'll get is some useful information for them, so that when it comes time to launch a platform, they know how to do it the right way and don't spin their wheels. And by the way, this is, as you know, this is being recorded, so it goes out to the YouTube community, so it'll be there forever.
Oh, great. So just a couple of things to start. Seed and Spark is not only a crowdfunding platform, we're a distribution platform. And that's really important because the purpose of making your movie, we all have to agree, is not to just make the movie, but to get it seen by people. Right? So if we don't incorporate that into our process, we lose a very, very important goal. And I think something that you see a lot with crowdfunding that is kind of a bummer is that people are clearly using crowdfunding to do nothing more than raise money for one project. And crowdfunding is too hard to just use it to raise money for one project.
Sorry, Emily. That's control up on the top. Thank you. Excellent. Go ahead.
So there's two things that are important to the way that I view crowdfunding in order to make it useful to you, right? Number one is that crowdfunding is really hard, and if you're only using it to get money for one project, it's not worth it. And the other thing is that the stuff that we teach and the stuff that we believe assumes that you as the filmmaker are interested in building an independent, sustainable career. And the reason that that's important is, at what phase are your students right now? Have they taken production classes?
Yeah.
Taking production classes? Has anybody taught you anything about how to get your movie distributed? No. Right.
Other than some of the information we've gotten here. This class primarily, but otherwise they don't have a special class in distribution.
Right. Therein lies the problem. Because 99.9% of filmmakers, that's a real statistic, I'm not just like throwing that out at you, will have to distribute their own films. And I am okay with saying I am probably not the 0.01%. And the fact is, not all of your films, no matter who you are, will be the 0.01%. So you have to learn how to distribute your film. Let me just like calm everybody for a second and say, we are living in the best possible time for this to be true because all of the tools, the technology and the marketing tools, the distribution access, all of that is available to you now in ways that has never been available before. So it is a fantastic time to be a filmmaker, but and with all due respect, Rex, what film schools are teaching filmmakers is how to make films, not how to have a sustainable career as a filmmaker.
And that is why we have this class, which
Great,
is
great.
called Inside the Film Business, and it is really the only class in the school that does this. There are a couple others that teach producing and those elements, you know, and hopefully teach them how to intersect and create a career. But that is why you're here today.
Yeah, so I have to tell you, Rex, I teach at a lot of film schools, and your class is very unique among the offerings. So good on you for doing it. So crowdfunding is only one tiny tool inside what is required of a filmmaker these days, which is a lifelong audience engagement effort. Because the film business, as it has been for the last 25 to 30 years, independent film, sadly, has meant you go independently finance and package, produce, post, take it to festivals. And if you are lucky, if you are in the 0.01%, you will go to Sundance and you'll get picked up by a Fox Searchlight. Your investors may make their money back. Fox Searchlight then owns 100% of the IP and all of your audience and all of the data downstream for 7 to 10 years, possibly more. Every territory, every DVD, every digital download, all of it. And there are people inside those companies, honestly, whose job it is to make sure that no returns go back to the filmmaker, right? They have enough expenses and marketing charges that they never return a dollar back to the filmmaker. That is not what independence is. Right? Independence does not mean ability to make your movie and inability to make any money off of its success, which is how the business has been set up. And that environment is one in which everybody's waiting to be picked. But we're in 2015. Can I just see a show of hands for the students that I can see anyway? How many of you have smartphones? Is that 100% of them? Does everyone in the class have a smartphone?
Not everyone got a smartphone? Yeah. It looks like that would almost be 100%.
Okay. So that means in your pockets, every day is the ability to shoot, edit, distribute, and watch a film. And this is a dangerous thing to say to film students. What that means is that films are no longer an achievement the way they used to be. Right? And that's okay, because you guys are writer-directors. What really is the achievement these days are the stories. And we are in a time, and crowdfunding will prove this out 100 times out of 100, we are in a time where audiences are hungry for new, different, exciting stories. So the Katherine Heigl rom-com, like pseudo-studio rom-com, failed at crowdfunding. But Anna Lily Amirpour's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is you guys ready? Native black and white Farsi language vampire skateboard western. That did very well in crowdfunding, right? Justin Simeon's Dear White People did really well in crowdfunding. This unbelievable, dark, brutal, sort of, at first terribly constructed and then greatly improved web series called Money and Violence, which 4 friends in Brooklyn taught themselves to make movies while making, with 30 million views on YouTube, did really well in crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is really there to empower artists to tell their stories, right? The ones that are really close to their hearts. And the cool thing is you can be utterly confident that if you have a story that is really authentically close to your heart, you will be able to find your audience. And find your audience is 100% of what helps you make crowdfunding successful. Just really quickly, can you just do this poll for me, Rex? How many of the let me do it this way. Is there anyone in the class who would say is not really on social media? No. Everybody's on Instagram, something, Facebook.
Anyone not?
Right. Okay.
No.
So they're all under 25 or so, right? Digital natives.
Anyone over 25? We have.
All right.
We have one. And he's 45. I have no idea how old he is.
So you're in your digital nativity. You've grown up with social media as a very common way to interact. And I will say to you that as filmmakers, it's one of the most important professional audience building tools, but it is not a means unto itself. So a lot of people approach social media as like I got 10,000 Twitter followers, which is awesome if the purpose of your career is to get Twitter followers, right? So the first and most important thing is to understand who your audience is and how to reach them. So there are three questions that you use to start any successful crowdfunding campaign, or frankly, any successful distribution campaign. Number one, who the hell is your audience? And I mean your audience, the audience for stuff that you are really passionate about making. Number two, where the hell are they in the world and online? And how do you get their email addresses? I know, that sounds like really basic, right? Why is this important? Well, because there are, let's do these concentric circles, okay? In the outermost concentric circle of the world is all of the people that you don't know, which we can agree is most of the people, right? Inside that concentric circle would be all of the people you can reach by social media. So that means people who can, you can reach or can reach by retweets and things like that. That's significantly more than the number of people you know, and significantly fewer than the people that you can reach, that you know, significantly more than people you know, significantly less than all the people. Inside that concentric circle are people whose email addresses you have. So in your social media feed, you can reach a lot of people, but it's not reliable because it's feed-based or it's algorithm-based, right? It's not necessarily true that you post something on Facebook and everyone who's friends with you sees it. Like, who the fuck even knows right now how Facebook shows you stuff? It's like 16% of people see it or something. When you get someone's email address, it's usually because you've posted something that has activated them and made them want to get involved with you, or because you've seen them face to face at a film festival and they've watched your short and they've signed up for your mailing list, or you've offered an editing class, for example, and they've signed up for it. You've been out there in the world interacting with people, gathering email addresses. That is much more reliable. So when we see people, and then inside that concentric circle is your actual audience. The people who are going to show up, fund your film, watch your movie. These are the most important people. That is your metric for success. How many people are going to show up and actually watch your stuff? Because that's the goal of the filmmaking, right? Is to make something fabulous that everybody wants to see, right? If you just use social media, you're going to end up with about a 1% conversion rate, right? With a good email list, you can end up with a 20 to 30% conversion rate to actual audience. And that's why email addresses are a gazillion times more valuable. So I will say to you, college student filmmakers who are making short films and probably submitting them to festivals, the festival circuit for your short film can be a fantastic place to start this process of building a really robust mailing list. And what you do is you go to a film festival, you do your short screening, and you literally pass a list out at the screening. Because I promise you guys, has any of you ever been to a festival with a film?
Have you taken a film to a festival?
No. Okay.
Anyone?
Okay, great. So I get to tell you guys something that's really funny about festivals. At every Q&A you will ever go to for your life, there are a few characters and a few common questions, right? Inevitably, somebody is going to ask, probably how much it costs. And that question now gets sort of booed. Somebody will ask a sort of an impossibly technical question about, what it was shot on or the shooting style to prove that they know a lot of things. Somebody will raise their hand and tell a personal story that has nothing to do with anything, and then there will be no question therein. And somebody will inevitably ask you, what's next? What's next? Right? And that's when it's really important to be handing out an email list, because you go, aha, it's wonderful that you asked. I have a feature brewing and I can't wait to tell you more about it. So if you enjoyed this film, please sign up and we'll chat with you again. So the other thing, honestly, Rex, that they should be offering in film school is a festival Q&A comportment class. Because, man, nothing will ruin a good festival screening like a crappy Q&A, and nothing can salvage a mediocre film like a really delightful Q&A.
That's an awesome suggestion, because I attend a lot of festivals. Sometimes I'm party to Q&As, and I just attended a couple, and I mean, you're dead on there. That is absolutely accurate.
I once saw the Zellner brothers. They made a film called Kid Thing that I think everyone should watch. 3 years ago, I think it was Sundance 2012, and the audience out at the Sundance Resort was mostly people over the age of 65. And they hated this film so much, they didn't walk out before the Q&A. They stayed to like wing anger at these filmmakers. And David and Nathan, their brothers, handled it so graciously and so well. I was like, I am in for life with these guys. And last year they made my favorite film of the year, Kumiko the Treasure Hunter. I just had lunch with them in Austin the other day. We've become friends since, and we're working on a film project together. And I told them that I was at this. I said, well, you know, I was at that Q&A at Kid Thing, and they were like, oh my God, I can't believe that was one of the worst ever. It was terrifying. You know, you have to be ready for what comes at you when you make, you know, challenging work. Anyway. So if you're asking yourself the questions of who the hell is your audience, where the hell are they, and how do you get their email addresses, there's a thing that happens, which is that I think a lot of filmmakers are taught to think of audiences as this like amorphous mass. So when we ask who the hell is the audience for your film, we'll get an answer like women between the ages of 24 and 35. Okay. So I'm 35. And I bet there's a woman in your class who's 24. And I bet if you lined up our lives side by side, we would have like almost nothing in common, right? And so the internet has done a really interesting thing, which is really broken open the ways in which groups of people organize. And they're organized no longer along ethnic or gender or age lines. It's really just around interest. So I'm going to do a sort of radical thing, right? Which is I'm going to suggest that demographics are going to be utterly useless to you. You have to go out in the world and talk to people who you think might be interested in your film to find out where you can find more like them. Now, Rex, I want to understand, like, how much of this do you want to be Q&A? Because, you know, I can talk about this for 2 hours. So I want to give your students an opportunity to really ask questions.
Well, let's see if they have any right now.
Yeah.
Any questions about what's been covered so far? Yes.
Hi, my name is Chase, and I checked out your website last night. I saw the stuff about the distribution, and I was curious what exactly that looks like. I saw that like once people get 500 followers, you have the distribution, and I saw the services you offer, like Netflix and Hulu and stuff.
Yep.
So I was wondering kind of how that works, like if you actually put the movie on there for them, no charge or anything like that.
Sure. No, it's not no charge because there are costs associated with deliverables, but we like to help filmmakers plan ahead for those and crowdfund for them. So this is great. This is a sort of a brilliant segue, so thank you. So if you go out and actually start talking to your actual audience and you say, hey, I'm thinking about making a movie about this, and they go, oh, that sounds really interesting. You want to ask them a series of questions, like where they hang out on social media, what kind of news outlets they pay attention to, because if they say the New York Times, that's really different from BuzzFeed, for example. Not in the information that's there necessarily. They're both writing about Syria, but the way that they write about Syria is extremely different. So those audiences like to be communicated to in slightly different ways. You ask them, you know, what music they listen to, what organizations they might belong to, what influencers and bloggers they follow. These are all really important things to know. And most importantly, you ask them, where do you watch what you watch when you watch it? Why? Well, because your audience might be primarily made up of people who stream things from Netflix to their computer. In which case, no matter what your cinematographer says, it may not make sense to shoot in 6K RAW, for example, right? And that's building a smarter economic model for your film that makes it easier to return money to your pocket. If, however, the vast majority of your audience says, well, I really love watching things in art house cinema, right? Then you build a different distribution plan. So the reason that we ask you to get to 500 followers is because we believe that's like a really viable sample set to help you determine which distribution platforms you should be focusing on. So we opened up access to Netflix, iTunes, Hulu, Amazon, Google Play, all of those ones that are listed on the website. So that if you crowdfund and reach 500 followers, we're actually, I think in 2 weeks, anybody who follows your campaign will automatically get a survey that asks them where they watch stuff, so that filmmakers can make a really targeted decision about where to distribute their films. If everybody says iTunes and Netflix, then we'll try to sell your film to Netflix. So you guys should know this about Netflix. They're not taking that many independent films anymore, number one. Number two, they're not paying very much for them. And number three, they deliver back zero data, even about how many people watched your film. So while it's a desirable place because there are a lot of people there, it is a terrible place to try to make money from your film. But if you don't really care about making that much money on it, and Netflix is also in the very last window of distribution. Do you guys know about distribution windows? No. It's okay. Okay, really quickly. And this entire model is changing, so I'm going to tell you something really fast, and then I'm just going to tell you that everything is getting fucked up every day. And I apologize for my language. I can't help it. That's the right word for what is happening. The traditional distribution system works that there's a theatrical window in which the film is only released theatrically. Now, lots of people are doing something called day and date, which for most films doesn't work very well, where they release theatrically and digitally online at the same time. Or they will do something called ultra day and date, or there's another term for it, where they might release on iTunes 2 weeks in advance and then release theatrically. Usually you need giant marketing budgets to make these things work. So you have this window, and then you'll move into the transactional window, which is, it could be cable VOD, so if you use a cable provider and you can use their VOD platform, or it might be just iTunes, for example, but anything where you can buy the movie one-off, like $14.99, something like that. And then basically after that, just to simplify it, there's actually like 20 windows, but just to simplify it, the third window will be either television or subscription VOD. So Netflix, and then a VOD, that's advertising VOD. That's what Hulu is. The subscription and advertising supported to be the very last window. So the very last place your film lands is there. So Netflix is a place that your film goes for the very last window, unless you go to Netflix really exclusively. Does that make sense? You guys have any questions about that?
Questions on that?
I will send you, Rex, an article that the incredible Melanie Miller wrote about windowing, so you just can learn everything you know about this.
Yeah, and I'll attach it in an email to them.
These are important things to know. So when you interact with your audience and you find out where they're really hanging out and where they really watch stuff, then you can start to build a really smart distribution plan in your mind. This should be happening well before you are in production and well before you are crowdfunding, right? Because this will help you know what you need to crowdfund for. So for example, if you are talking to your audience and it looks like pretty much everybody wants to watch on iTunes, Netflix, and Amazon Google Play, or Amazon and Google Play, that has a certain cost associated with it, right? I think the answer is, I can do this math, $850, $1,700, and $450, so $2,150. Right? Is how much it would cost to distribute to those platforms. Because Netflix costs a little extra because we have to literally sell it to them, and their deliverables are kind of a nightmare. We want you to put that into your crowdfunding campaign, right? That's money that you know you're going to have to spend in advance. That's part of your budget, right? And the thing that we find this kind of work helps filmmakers do is prepare not just to raise the money for getting the film finished, but actually getting it seen. And you guys, there are a lot of costs associated with getting your film seen. I was at SVA, the art school in New York City last week, teaching third year. I mean, these students were about to make their thesis film. And I said, I said something about distribution deliverables, and they all went blank. And the teacher turned around and said, do you guys know what distribution deliverables are? And sort of one hand went up. Distribution deliverables are all of the digital assets, right? The movie file, all of the key artwork, all of that stuff, but also the legal documentation, right? All of the legally signed paperwork that says you own the rights to everything in the film. So, for example, if you used popular music, the music licenses have to be signed and taken care of. And those often cost money. And they cost a different amount of money for festivals than if you want worldwide distribution rights. We're having this issue with the film right now that we're going to take out theatrically in the spring. That they're delivering us a film with these incredible tracks, none of which we have the right to use in the trailer. Right? So now we're going to have to cut like a totally different trailer with a totally different feel from the film, because they didn't want to secure all the rights. But you will have to have your film deliverable in order to get it to any of these platforms. And you want to be thinking through this and prepared for this well in advance, so you don't finish your film, have a great festival run, and then have no money left to actually get the film to the audience. And that's why crowdfunding can be really useful, because you can do it in stages, right? We've seen many filmmakers use crowdfunding to crowdfund for development and production, and then they do all of that, and they build their audience all throughout the campaign, and then at the end they raise again for distribution and marketing costs. Right? And that means every dollar that comes back from distribution goes into their pockets, right? That's really important. Did I answer the distribution question?
Definitely.
Cool. Any other questions before Emily continues? Yes.
Is there a certain...
And this is Sean.
Oh, this is Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Is there a certain way that you should, like, pitch the idea on certain websites?
Yeah. Great. It's like you're doing my presentation for me. Thank you, Sean. That's a great question. So here's the thing. When you're starting to understand your audience, you write to 10 of your friends to start, and make sure they're not all your filmmaker friends, right? Because that's like a very particular sample set. I don't know about you guys. I live in Los Angeles. It's hard for me to remember which of my friends are non-filmmaking friends. So it's important to cultivate communities outside of just filmmaking, because you're going to need them you're going to need to pump them for information. So write to a trusted group of friends and say, hey, I'm making this. Well, Sean, are you making a film right now?
No.
No? Is anybody in the class making a film that they'd be willing to let me pick on them for just a second, just to tell them? I just need to know kind of log line and short synopsis and title.
Yes, here we go.
Justin, I'm working on my senior film right now.
Great.
Logline, don't have it yet. Name of it is Ecro. Humans' last days on Earth before they go and colonize exoplanet.
Ooh. Humans' last days on Earth before they colonize an exoplanet. Let's see. What's it called?
Ecro.
Who in your class would like to see this? Show of hands. Because I would. Okay, great. Hold your hands.
Looks like everybody.
Great. Okay. So really quickly, if you looked around and saw everybody who raised their hands, you would notice, number one, they do not all belong to the same demographic. Along ethnic, gender, age lines, but that's because you're only in a room with young people. I also want to see it, so I'd break your age lines.
And thank you for the compliment.
Great. You're welcome, Rex. So these are the people that you would go to and you would ask, what social media platforms do you frequent? How do you get your news? What influencers do you follow on Twitter? And you can see immediately why you don't want to only ask these questions inside a filmmaking classroom, because the people that a bunch of filmmakers follow are going to be usually more similar than the breadth you might find. That will give you a chance to understand which social media platforms you probably want to frequent. And if I had to take a guess, I would say it's going to be like Instagram, Reddit, and I don't know, these folks who I can see behind me who raise their hands. What social media platforms are you on mostly? Twitter.
Anybody else?
I flip and love Twitter. Okay. So
Is that it?
Facebook and Tumblr.
Facebook and Tumblr?
Ooh, Tumblr. I always forget that one. Great.
I've never figured out Reddit.
Rex, it wasn't made for us. We're too old.
I've never figured it out. But Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram,
Great.
Pinterest, other social platforms, anything? Google?
Snapchat?
Oh, Snapchat.
Snapchat?
Oh God. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I realize I'm like really too old to be talking about social media because he's new. My brother and sister are huge. They totally get Snapchat. I haven't figured it out. I know that makes me really old, but
I don't know how to use it, but my daughter and I communicate that way.
Really?
Well, she'll send a picture and I'll send one back.
Confused pictures of dad from like up his nose. Is this?
Yeah, kind of.
Did I snap it? So you would start to understand which social media platforms you might want to concentrate on. So if you interviewed 10 people and the most of them responded Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, you would want to like start there. Now here's the thing with social media. Again, number one, it's not a means unto itself. And number two, most importantly, you don't want to only talk about yourself on social media. You know those people, and it's terrible, right? The people that we love following on social media are posting things from other places that are good information sources, funny videos, interesting information, those sorts of things. Like those are the social media handles that we're most excited about. So as filmmakers cultivating a professional relationship with your audience, you want to use social media to share with them the world of inspiration, not just of one film, but sort of your filmmaking career. And the chances are the work that you're doing for the film in development, researching, reading articles, watching other movies, all of these things are things that you can use across these social media platforms to start to get in communication with the audience who's also interested in that stuff. And forums are also really important. There are totally forums that are obsessed with like, what is it going to be like when we leave this planet, right? Tons of people are thinking and talking about that and gathering on the internet. You've got to go join those conversations. Number one, because that's where your audience is. And number two, because I bet you inside there are ideas for your movie you have not yet thought of that are good ideas. Right? And that starting that relationship with your audience is actually expanding your space for inspiration. It's very, very important to understand that your audience can be a brilliant source of movie ideas, and they would be so excited to see something that they thought of in your movie.
A comment in the self-help publishing world years ago, where we've transitioned in film and other media. One of the brilliant ideas that occurred to self-publishers who were having trouble getting their materials published to the gatekeepers was to use social media to ask people questions like, I'm an auto mechanic, what problems do you have with your car? Give me the top 10 issues that you have when you go to a mechanic. And people would email this stuff in or respond to social media, and then they'd write their book around the top 10 answers or the top one answer. And they had built their list, so they would then market the book right back to the people who asked the questions in the first place.
It's brilliant.
Which is totally brilliant. And filmmakers, what you're proposing, filmmakers can do the very same thing. And I have a question, which is awesome, by the way, I want to say. And if this is a segue to something better left for later, Facebook seems to be really diminishing the ability of the individual to make a reach without paying. So they've limited contact, they've limited interactions, in ways that they hadn't before. Do you find that an issue, or is it, or not? Has Facebook changed and like I hear Instagram is the big way to go now, or it's more popular. Are there other platforms?
So conversion really matters. And driving people to your crowdfunding page or the place to download your film is still way easier and better from Facebook than from Instagram, right? Because of the way the platforms are set up. Facebook is sort of like the place where we gather all of our external links, right? Instagram keeps you inside Instagram. They make it very unfriendly to post links. So Instagram is a great place to gather your audience and start interacting with them. It's not a great place to get them to go elsewhere.
Okay.
Right? So that's just, you know, and you have to know this about the parameters of the platforms. Facebook is still a place, it's like, you know, building a website for your film. Like, you need a Facebook page for your film. You do not, however, need a new Instagram or Twitter handle for every movie you make, because that's insane. You guys know already how hard it is to get followers on Instagram and Twitter. You don't want to be fragmenting your followership across multiple handles. What I really recommend is creating a hashtag for your film and getting everyone on set with you to be using that hashtag. So if you guys want to, last weekend we just wrapped a film, we shot a feature film in 3 days for $5,000. And we haven't crowdfunded anything yet. We will for post and festivals. But you can follow the hashtag Sunday the Movie on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, because everybody who was on set was posting from Sunday the Movie, except for me. I messed up and was using Sunday Movie. So we want to see my pictures. Apparently, I have to use the wrong hashtag. I blew it. But it's an interesting way. If you go and look at all those photos, you sort of get a sense of what was happening on the set, and you might get photos of like the 4-camera setup we were shooting on, or the beautiful church we were filming in. These sorts of things. Now I've forgotten his question. Talking about speaking to the audiences, right? Starting to cultivate. So if you have a sense of kind of the way people like to be talked to, the music they're listening to, where they are gathering, most importantly, you can start to post the things that are already part of your world. Here's a movie that I watched that's like inspiring me right now. Here's an article that I read that's really interesting. A good example of this was a film that crowdfunded with us called Seclusion, a short film about an astronaut's last day on Earth before a one-way woman's mission to Mars. And her campaign, before she was crowdfunding, while crowdfunding, and ever since, is a place that she uses just to post cool shit about space travel. Right? I found out about water on Mars getting an email. I woke up in the morning, I had an email from her campaign, and I opened it, and it was the link to the article about water on Mars, right? So if you're interested about space and space travel, her campaign is a great thing to follow, even after the film has, you know, crowdfunded and already finished. She's using it to continue to interact with her audience, which is really important. So you use all the world of inspiration for your film to start to seed this relationship, but then you have to go back and see what's working and what isn't. Like, you can't just use social media to shout into the wind. That's not the point. When you're using it as a professional tool to bring people from the ether, that outer concentric circle where everybody is, into the center to your audience, you have to actually use it as a professional tool and see what's working and what isn't. So you post the articles and the videos and the movies that you're interested in, and a few like images from location scouts that you're doing, and maybe behind the scenes of a teaser video that you're shooting. Or you sit down and sort of cut together a supercut of all of your favorite space travel movies, and you post that for your friends and fans. And you just see how they do. And there are going to be some things that you post that people are like commenting on all over the place. And there are going to be some things that you post that people don't respond to at all, right? And you want to make some decisions around that information, which is important. Because, I mean, you guys have been in film school now. One of the things that you're learning to do is take critical feedback, right? Is putting your films up in front of your peers and being able to listen with open ears about what's working and what isn't. Or at least I hope that's what they're helping you learn. You can do this with your audience as well, right? And your audience is smart. You have to assume that your audience for your movies is at least as smart as you think you are, right? Because you think you're making smart movies, and so those smart movies are for smart people. So when your audience is really responding to something, pay attention to that. And when they're not really responding to something, pay attention to that too. And just this is what's called message testing. You put this out through your social media channels, and you can do this through your entire development process, all the way through pre and production, post and beyond. And this is how you build a relationship with them. Because we're not in this lovely device makes it so that people are not consumers anymore. They want to be participants, right? You have to invite people in. You can't be precious about your process. You have to invite them into the process and trust that they'll go on the journey with you. That part's really important.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I think a mutual buddy of ours, John Reese,
I love John.
John is a great guy. Has been an advocate for the producer, distribution, and marketing. The idea that, when you're doing a film, sometimes as a director or producer, the main creative team is just too much to try and make a movie and conduct, an online campaign, and to therefore have somebody who knows the ins and outs as you described them, who would be full time on your project to create a campaign, to work the distribution side, the marketing side of it, from inception onward, so that.
Yes. So two things. Number one, a producer of marketing distribution is a very important role at some point in your career. Two, if you at this stage, at sort of the college stage, consider already offloading this, you are going to lose control of your voice to your audience.
Good point.
What does a writer-director sell? They actually sell their tone, right? There's no writer-director out there that's just making movies about the same thing over and over again, really, right? I mean, maybe the Lethal Weapon or something. But all of you want to make movies about really different things. They might be related conceptually, but ultimately, why does somebody always watch a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, or a Jill Soloway TV show, or Jane Campion, like whatever she does? It's because you like the way they tell stories. You like the tone of the worlds that they create, right? It's not that they all make movies about the same thing. So your tone is yours and yours alone to develop. And this process of message testing with your audience is one of the fastest ways to develop your storytelling tone. Because what is Tumblr, or Instagram, or Facebook, or even your crowdfunding page? These are all storytelling tools. 100% of them are storytelling tools. The format in which you tell stories is different. It's 140 characters, or it's a blog and some hashtags, or it's a really nice image and a pithy comment, right? These are all storytelling platforms, and they are very, very cool tools that filmmakers can use to develop their tone in shorter cycles, right? It's easier, obviously, to figure out what your visual tone is through a series of Instagram photos than making 15 films, right? But you can use the experience of developing your visual style through Instagram to inform the films that you make. It's an incredible training tool. And you can use that training to build a relationship with your audience as you're training yourself. I'm really sorry about my dog. He's really agitated this morning. We're filming here today, and we've turned our garage into a studio. And so we're filming part of basically this educational material today, and everybody's showing up to set right now, and he's very grumpy that he's not included. So to that point, I don't think you can hire a PMD to handle the tone and the marketing and the relationship with the audience until you know what it is. Does that make sense?
I think it's a brilliant answer, because what you're doing, or what you're saying is, yes, down the road, it's an absolutely valuable asset and something you should consider. But the learning that you get from doing it yourself not only contributes to the fact that you become more internet savvy and distribution savvy, but you learn more about the art and process of storytelling, and so it's an excellent point, because somebody can pick up a book and go, I need this, and then run off and try and find one.
Let me give you another example, right? So I went from being a filmmaker to being the CEO of this company, right? I didn't know shit about being the CEO of a company, but I had lots of different experiences, right? I had run restaurants, which helps you understand how to manage people. I had managed sets. But I handled the marketing for Seed and Spark for 2.5 years, to the point at which it was ridiculous for me, who is not an expert, to really continue to handle the marketing. But at that point, I knew enough about marketing to hire to know a good marketing expert when I saw one. Right?
And that is a valuable skill to have, and to be able to then converse from that point onward with them and know what they're talking about when they tell you things.
So let me say something else. As the director of a film, you are the CEO. right? And this may make you really uncomfortable, but you're the CEO of a film business. You're going to hire people. You're going to pay them. You're going to gather investment. You're going to start a company. You're going to start an LLC or a corporation in order to take in the money and the distribution of the film. You are going to be the CEO of a company. Your producer is your chief operating officer, right? They're not the CEO. When it comes to getting money for your film, you're going to have to be the one in the room talking to the investor, right? These are skills you cannot get around having. You can't pass that shit off to other people. You have to learn how to talk about your projects to investors, to audiences, to distributors, to festivals, to sales agents. You don't get out of this if you want to have a career in the film business. And that's okay. Because one, it actually gets really exciting the first time you talk to an investor and they're like, yes, I will write you a $100,000 check. Like that's one of the more exhilarating moments ever to sort of be able to elicit that kind of belief in your passion. But two, it means you can't just like slough off these responsibilities. And you guys are now in a position where you have you're producing a lot of material that can be seeding the conversation with the audience. And let me tell you, nothing makes a conversation with an investor easier than if you say, I have a 10,000 person email list, I have 20,000 followers on whatever platform I prefer. Here's the level of interaction I have with my audience. Here's how my short film did at the last festival and how many email addresses I gathered. If you can talk like that, like you are thinking about how many people will watch your movie, your investment conversations get so much easier. You cannot just walk into an investment conversation and be like, I have this really good idea for this movie. Because investors hear that shit all the time. If you can walk in and say, I have a really good idea for a movie, I have a really good idea who's going to watch it because I have their email addresses. That is a completely different conversation. And the only thing that I want for artists in this world, and myself included, like I would like to go back to making movies as well, is that we can make a sustainable living that nobody has, we don't have to ask for permission for, right? And so the more you gather this relationship with your audience, the more you do something that I think is really important, which is future-proof your career. Because today, the distribution looks like it looks. There's theaters, and there's cable VOD, and there's all the online retailers like Amazon and Netflix and Hulu. And then there's like lots of other little distributors. You know, we have a streaming platform also. There's a ton of places you can put up your movie behind a paywall. There's nothing to say it's going to look like this in 5 years. If you think about how much it's changed in the last 5 years, there's nothing to say it's going to look like this in the next 5 years. You know, we could be distributing directly to VR headsets. That could be like the prime way that people are watching stuff. We don't know. The only thing we know is no matter how the production or distribution technology changes, a direct relationship to your audience is always something that you can monetize, no matter how it's delivered to them. And so I want you guys to be empowered to have a sustainable career in 2015 and 2020 and 2025 and so on. And the direct connection to your audience is the only way to future-proof your career.
Well, when Louis C.K. first came out and said, I'm going to sell direct, and he had his comedy CD, and he sold, I don't know, 10 million, you know, at $20 a pop or something like that, everybody was like blown away because he cut out all the middle people. And at that time, he could do it because he had a following. He had fans. He was known. He's a commodity. And that's what Emily is telling all of us.
So here's the other thing.
To build that following and that relationship.
Yeah, a sustainable career is not built overnight. You're not going to graduate from college and be able to make a living as a filmmaker right away. Or very, very few of you. I mean, making your own stuff. Making stuff for other people, absolutely. This takes time. Louis C.K. was an overnight sensation, 20 years in the making. What I'm talking about is an apprenticeship, right? You're basically out there, you know, for the next 10 years, building an audience, building a following. And your right to make, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on movies is in direct proportion to how much hard work you do to build a relationship with your audience. Right? And look, I meet a lot of, I live in LA, okay? Like everybody came out here to get picked. Do you want to know how many of them got picked? Not very many. Most of them have had to figure out how to make careers. And there's a lot of really disenfranchised people who, you know, are my age, came out to LA in their 20s when all this landscape didn't exist, right? They didn't get to interact digitally and socially with their audiences. They made films. They even had huge success scenarios where they made films and they took them to Sundance and they sold them to a big distributor. They didn't make a penny on it. And I'm sorry, but if you're a woman or a person of color, you're certainly not getting picked up to direct a studio movie at that point, right? So the other thing is that the people in charge of the picking have a very, very particular bias. And we don't have to argue about that. Like 1.9% of studio pictures were directed by women last year. Right? So for me, I have to build this career on my own because ain't nobody gonna pick me. Right? I get to pick myself, which is really cool. All the tools are available for me to pick myself.
Absolutely. All right, questions, comments, insights.
So here's the other thing, you guys. I'm not focusing on like how to build a kick-ass crowdfunding campaign because I'm going to send Rex an email that has the handbook and all of the tools
Awesome.
building a kick-ass crowdfunding campaign. And that stuff is like a little bit more technical and like so you sort of need me to explain it less. I want to answer like your burning questions.
Yep. No, this is immensely valuable. So what questions do you have?
No,
Yes, sir.
no question.
Emily, this is Zach. I saw you speak a couple times. I was up in the panels for the Milwaukee Film Festival.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, I heard a couple of like non-success stories, and you had brought it up where you were talking about people who got their movie to a distributor and then never saw a penny off that. So I was wondering if you could tell one of the worst stories that you have as somebody who helps fund one of these movies that like a person came to you with that was kind of, you know.
So I have to be really politic here, right? Because this is going to the internet. And I don't want to publicly disparage any of our peers or competitors, but I will tell you this. A couple of things. I have talked to many filmmakers in Los Angeles who their tactic for getting their money back from a distributor is to hire a really high-powered attorney because they know they're going to have to sue their distributor to get any information or money back. Number one. Like not one story. I've heard this 20 times. Number two, a good friend who had crowdfunded a film and who's a wonderful, like tremendous sharer of information. You know, he's out there like telling filmmakers how to make a career on their own. He had a film. I can't. I will communicate with you privately to tell you about who this is, so you can look at some of his stuff. But he made a movie. He took it to a distributor, or it got picked up by a distributor. And he was so appalled at the lack of time and attention the distributor put into his film that he had to send him a threatening lawyer letter to get out of his contract, and then he brought the film to us to do the digital distribution. I don't know why most filmmakers have terrible stories about their distributors. And honestly, like Seed and Spark's one overarching goal, way above making money, which obviously we hope to do for filmmakers, is to be a distributor that people at least had a good experience with. Because we've been really open and transparent. There was a... Okay, I'm going to tell a story that this is a caveat, this is not my right to tell. I'm going to relate to you the story that was told to me in a late night party at Sundance by someone who had something to do with a faith-based film that Sony took out several years ago. This film was financed by a single financier, a really wealthy oil baron in Texas who wrote a $20 million check to make the movie. They made the movie for $20 million, which, by the way, is just an absurd amount of money to spend on a movie. It got picked up by Sony for theatrical distribution. And Sony made a P&A commitment. It still stands for print and advertising, even though that's not what it really goes towards. Marketing commitment of, I think, $30 million to do this big theatrical release. They do a big, it's a surfing movie. faith-based surfing movie. They do a big theatrical release. I think the film makes $65 million at the box office. And after Sony recouped their marketing expenses and took their distribution percentage, and the sales agent took their distribution percentage, the return to the investor, who wrote a $20 million check, was $950,000 from a $65 million box office. So that gives you a sense of like what those old economics look like. There are a lot of really savvy investors who kind of understand how to structure these deals a little better. But most independent films, if they get financed and then picked up by a distributor, they don't have a lot of leverage, right? And they don't have a lot of negotiating power. They sort of take whatever they're given. And what I want for you guys is to be able to walk into the room with a distributor with leverage. And leverage is audience. It's saying, I have 10,000 emails, I can send it directly to these people, sell it for $5 a piece, and make my budget back, right? So I don't really need you. So if you're going to come on board, what are you going to do for me? Right? That's the conversation I want you to be able to have with a distributor. I want you to have leverage. And most distributors behave as if their filmmakers have no leverage, right? And that's sort of why there have been some really sad stories.
Well, because traditionally they haven't had leverage.
That's right.
Awesome. Very, very good answer. Thank you. Who else? What else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Thunder. Question. So, to avoid, I guess, these nightmarish experience with distributors, how do you, I guess, stay on the lookout for bad distributors?
Great. That's a great question. A couple of things. Your social community of filmmakers is going to be an absolutely essential component of your being able to build really smart distribution plans. So, for example, Facebook and Twitter are places where I'm really connected to a lot of filmmakers, and I have seen on a regular basis producers write, they'll write a post like, "Hive Mind, has anyone ever worked with X distributor? I'm looking for information." You want to go out there and research the distributors. You want to find out what kinds of experiences people have had, what kinds of troubles they had, what kinds of reporting they could expect. I mean, it's when you sign with a distributor, it's usually between a 5 and a 7 year deal. You're kind of getting married for a little while. And you're generally going to vet a spouse pretty carefully, right? You're going to spend some time with them. You're going to learn from their friends, right? Depending on how suspicious you are, maybe a background check. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's really, really important to ask your community. And that's really easy because you can just look at other films that they've distributed. You okay? No. You can just look at other films that they've distributed and ask those filmmakers what their experiences were.
Excellent.
Don't ever do business with assholes. There is no reason to ever do business with assholes. If you meet someone and you shake their hand and it gives you the creeps, or you have a bad gut feeling, that feeling is correct 100% of the time. So no matter what they're offering you, don't do business with assholes. It's never going to go the way you want. I just walked away from a huge check from an investor who, the more time I spent with them, the more I realized they had no confidence in me and no respect for me. And it was coming out in these little tiny ways that I would hear him say something and I'd be like, "Ooh, okay, well, I'm sure that's fine." But then there was enough of them because we spent a lot of time together that by the time they sent me the deal, I was like, my gut is telling me no way. So that's really important.
I think that's true about dating too.
Yeah, I mean,
Good case should go without saying.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer that if somebody who's a jerk comes along and offers you a great deal that may or may not actually ever manifest, and you've got that negative gut feeling that something's wrong here, another deal's going to come around.
Yeah.
I mean, there will always be something that will happen if you make it happen, and if you keep exploring and you keep looking, you will find the right people to do business with.
And you don't ever want it to be your only option, which is why building that relationship with your audience is so important. If you have a direct relationship with your audience, you can use something like Seed and Spark to distribute directly to them and keep the lion's share of the revenue. And that way you don't worry about what a distributor says yes or no to, right? Having that fallback is really important, because that way all you have to do is take a really good deal with somebody you're really excited to work with.
Now, I've been disappointed with Zach asking his question, because I never realized you were at the Milwaukee Film Festival, or I would have come in and said, hey.
Oh man, I love the Milwaukee Film Festival.
Wow.
Everyone should go there.
Next time. Cool. Other questions? What do you desperately need to know about making movies and getting them to an audience or getting them distributed or?
Well, let me say something about. So it used to be that you would go into development and pre-production and production and post, and then after post you would start thinking about the marketing and distribution of the film. And what crowdfunding has allowed you to do is bring marketing all the way up to the top while you're in development, right? But crowdfunding also has its own cycles of development, pre-production, production, post, and distribution. And you really don't want to be doing those things entirely in parallel. Like a crowdfunding campaign really is as full-time a job as pre-production can be, right? You would never go into a movie expecting to be successful without like really, have they said this to you already? Like the movie lives and dies in pre-production? I'm sure they've distributed that piece of information. Like how organized you are is how successful you're going to be on set, because that determines how flexible you can be day to day and absorb the inevitable disasters and triumphs of life on an indie film set. So crowdfunding follows a very, very similar track. You really need to invest time in pre-production. But the reason that this is great is that by the time you get ready to distribute, you will have had 18 months talking to different audiences about different facets of the film, or just different sort of interesting things surrounding the film that you're making, and having deeply developed that relationship. So you won't just have a potential audience, you will have evangelists, people who are super excited to help you get your movie out there.
Well, an analogy is football season. I mean, they don't stop all press about football during the summer or the spring. They still leak out information. They keep it going so that as the season begins, people are anticipating and they're excited and they can't wait until opening game day. And you do the same with your film. So what you're saying is, if you start early, you bring them along until your launch date.
That's right.
So cool. Chase had a question.
Yeah. I was just curious. It's obvious that Seed and Spark is geared toward independent filmmakers, but I was wondering what exactly constitutes independent, and if there's anybody that wouldn't qualify for crowdfunding.
Independent is you're doing it yourself, right? I think the dependent is inside the studio system at this point. It's basically like anybody producing stuff outside the studio system. In fact, there are studios that are now talking to us about how to leverage our tools for them to build direct relationships with their audiences. But basically, if you own the IP, the production, and get to make all the decisions about how the distribution goes, that's independent filmmaking. And to be clear, that's like shorts and features and docs and series and augmented reality and virtual reality and multi-platform. It's like it doesn't just mean movies anymore. Things that don't qualify on Seed and Spark. We don't currently allow people to crowdfund pornography. That has really more to do with the way payment processors treat pornography than any treatise we particularly have about it. But our goal at Seed and Spark is to empower diverse voices. So we're just interested in diversity around location, idea, passion story. There are a lot of stories. And if you look at Seed and Spark, we way over-index in terms of not just women and people of color, but crowdfunding projects on our platform that are not from New York and Los Angeles. And that's something that we're really proud of. I saw one of your students in Milwaukee, I guess, and we've gone to 75 U.S. cities in the last 12 months, something insane like that, because I don't actually think that the first best examples of sustainable filmmaking careers in this new technology age are going to come from New York and L.A., where it costs a lot of money to live, right? I met a filmmaker in Milwaukee who has a really wonderful, independent, sustainable career because he pays $495 a month for a 4-bedroom top house. It made me actually a little bit nauseous. Because I pay Los Angeles prices.
Wow. I mean, that's unbelievable even for me sitting here with a mortgage. So, wow. But yes. I mean, there are differences in where you live. Okay. What else? Who else?
Rex, my battery is about to die. I'm just going to run upstairs and grab my power cable.
Okay.
I apologize.
No worries. So one of the interesting things also when dealing with investors is never offer to give up your salary. We talked about this before?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I'll just always remember that. You know, when you're dealing with somebody who says, okay, you know, your movie's going to cost $100,000 or $100 million or whatever, you go, well, I'm not going to charge you for the script, or I'm going to charge you. That's a lack of a total non-professional. You want to say, this is what it costs, and you want to stand by it. Now, you want to price it reasonably. You can't say, well, my script is worth, if you've never written a script before. But you should always, when dealing with money people, be a money person yourself. And the more that you know about money and how it works, and people who raise money and spend money, the better off you'll be. This is a business, after all. Awesome. Welcome back. Emily, we're totally enjoying this. We have literally about 15 minutes left, and just so you know, I didn't tell you this before. A couple of things, but I will call you back from the car just to check and debrief with you.
We can't because I literally have to be on set in makeup at 8:50.
Oh, wow. We'll do that another time.
Yeah.
But I also didn't realize you'd moved from the north to the south. So the next time I'm home, well, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Welcome to how long have you been there? Now you're going to embarrass me, and it's going to be like 4 years.
Since January of last year.
Oh, okay.
No,
wow.
it's a year and a half.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes.
This is Zach again. I was wondering, in relation to, I guess, customers that you have or independent filmmakers, what are some of the more pressing reasons why you don't want to work with an individual? Is it bad content? Is it poor audience? Or is it just I guess a bad attitude in general? Or what are reasons why you wouldn't want to work with a person?
It's because a lot of the filmmakers we learn about through the app, their first application to crowdfund. We have a very simple way that we deal with filmmakers, which is we get the application to crowdfund and we send a bunch of feedback about what will make this campaign successful. And the filmmakers who take that advice and improve their campaign, they're in. And the filmmakers who don't want to take that advice or push back really hard tend to just drop off and go to Indiegogo and launch a campaign, right? Just so you guys know, we have the highest crowdfunding success rate of any crowdfunding platform in the world, but that's entirely because we don't let you launch until we're really sure that your campaign has been optimized to be successful. So we don't ever say no. Well, that's not true. One time somebody wanted to crowdfund a racist propaganda piece, and we said no. But other than that, we don't say no. We just say, here's the feedback. Here's what you have to do in order to get this campaign to a place where we think it really is going to be successful. And if they don't want to do that work, then we'll be like, okay, well, you can't launch here. You can launch somewhere else. But I do think Seed and Spark is for somebody who really wants to build an independent, sustainable career. And the cool thing is, the more independently and sustainably you build your career, the more likely you are to get picked up by, sorry for my dog, an HBO or Lionsgate. These guys who raised a ton of money on Seed and Spark for this web series, they produced completely independently. During their crowdfunding campaign, they got a call from Lionsgate. Right? And Lionsgate was like, hey, we see how good this is and how big it is, and we want a piece of it. So the more dedicated you are to a direct relationship with your audience, the more likely you are to get a call from the people with the really big money.
I have a friend who will remain nameless and who raises money traditionally. He goes through the SEC. He does everything in increments of a certain amount and raises millions of dollars. He's produced 3 or 4 or 5 features. He's working on another one that had hoped to have shot last year. Still hasn't the money for it. Who hates crowdfunding, who just constantly writes about how horrible it is and anybody who's a filmmaker shouldn't crowdfund and it's totally stupid, blah, 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 blah. And I constantly try to tell him, and because we're friends, that what he doesn't have, what he does have is he raises money. He then has somebody hopefully distribute his film, and then it's a crapshoot at the theaters if he gets in, whether it makes money or doesn't make money. I can't say that any of them have been commercially successful. They may have been in auxiliary markets, but ultimately, he struggles an awful lot and spends 90% of his time trying to raise money so that he can make his couple of movies in his lifetime. As opposed to saying what crowdfunding is about, as you point out, is about a relationship with people, about having fans and followers and delivering content to them in the most easy or palatable way to get it to them. And it shouldn't, while there's hard work involved in crowdfunding and in building an audience and in building these relationships, it is, I think, infinitely easier in many ways than the route he has chosen. And I don't fault him other than for being closed-minded, to say, open up and let everybody, everybody has the right to do what they do. But he just does not seem to understand how. And I think what's really cool about the conversation we've had today, and it's not quite over yet, is that you've demonstrated and you've spoken to how valuable it is to be able to do the things that you're espousing and the opportunities that you've created for people through Seed and Spark.
So I'll tell you guys a couple of things. First of all, thank you. And crowdfunding is only crowdfunding if you actually take the time and energy to build the crowd. Otherwise, it's friend funding, and you guys know how limited a resource that actually is, right? So crowdfunding is a very specific thing that involves building, understanding a relationship with the crowd, and then going to them for funding because you're allowing them to participate in something they're already excited about, right? Crowdfunding is not a begging tool. If you use it that way, it will not go well for you, right? You might be able to get as much out of your community as they have because they feel guilty or obligated or whatever, but you won't be able to go back to that resource over and over again. You won't be able to be like a filmmaker you all need to know about. His name is Gorman Bashard. He's in his late 50s. He makes 5 films a year right now, all his own films. He controls the audience and the distribution. He has run 31 successful crowdfunding campaigns. He's distributed the films either through distributors he's built a really good relationship with or on his own. We're distributing his next film. And he lives in a beautiful house in New Haven, Connecticut with his lovely wife and their dog. And he goes on vacations and he makes only the movies he wants to make. And everybody who works with him, and he has a couple of women who worked with him for years who are all participate in the back end and make a tremendous amount of like livable money, right? And it's all through really having a deep and trusting relationship with the audience. His fans are happy to come and fund his films 4, 5, 6 times a year because they love his movies. right? And they understand that this is the relationship that they've developed. It's totally phenomenal. And he's not raising $100,000 at a time. He's raising like 10, 15, 20 at a time and moving the projects forward little by little. But it means he's working on 5 movies right now that are all his movies. How cool is that? Like I really kind of want to be Gorman Bashar. I think he's amazing. So there's that. The other thing I will say, I can't say it because you're going to put this on YouTube.
Well, disguise it. But also remember to send us a link to his work.
Oh, I will. So we are. No, I can't. Actually, I could really get in trouble with the SEC.
Oh, no, okay.
I'll send you an email that you can share with your class separately about it.
Okay. All right.
I will say this. Because we are good at crowdfunding, we have implemented it in ways for ourselves that have been really successful over the years. And there are things that you learn through crowdfunding that serve you very, very well in any kind of fundraising and audience building efforts that you do. And those are really essential skills to have if you want to level up your career.
And wherever there are rules and regulations, especially if they're government, follow them. Follow them to dot the I and cross the T.
That's right. Don't mess with the SEC.
No, don't ever. And you do. I mean, very wise of you to opt out of saying anything. Anything else? We got about 5 minutes left. I can I can give it to you to kind of close it out yourself because you've done such a marvelous job. If there's another question or comment in the opt-in very quickly.
I will, just so you guys know, I'm going to send you guys our handbook. All of our educational materials are available on our website. So if you go to Seed and Sparks for Filmmakers, at the bottom of that page, there are a gazillion downloads. And it's everything from the handbook that really walks you through how to build a really successful crowdfunding campaign that aims towards distribution to organizational templates. Like literally the things that you need to organize ahead of your... So imagine if somebody gave you... I don't know if you guys are using Movie Magic, like that beautiful scheduling tool. It's sort of a version of that, but for crowdfunding.
My guess is they're not using anything like that in the school. I don't think they have any scheduling or budgeting. Do you have any scheduling or budgeting software that you use in any of your other classes? Right? Are you all doing it by hand and the old-fashioned way?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's Movie Magic and there's Gorilla and there's a number of platforms, and I don't think you have access to none of them. Okay.
I love me some Movie Magic.
You love what?
I love Movie Magic. So this is when I learned I was like made to be a producer, maybe even a line producer, although that has never been my role, is that I love to break down and schedule a script. It scratches an OCD part of my soul that I did not know I had. And it's something you want to find somebody who really loves to do, because that's a pretty essential part of the success of the film. You guys still cutting up scripts and like putting them on a board? Really? There literally is an app for that.
I don't think they've done that yet either. But it depends on where they are in their film. I'm going to guess no. I think another producer, another teacher here is from Hollywood and worked in one of the studios, and he has a teaching class. And what I did with my class was tried not to overlap anything, and I understood him to do budgeting and scheduling. So this semester we didn't cover any of that. I left that for when they take his class, but maybe in the future we need to address that more. It won't happen this semester. You got to come back and take class again.
What's one thing I would leave you guys with is to do your research about what the tools are out there for you to have control of every stage of your career. Have you heard of Tugg, TUGG.com? Do you know Frameo, which is an editing and collaboration tool? Are you aware of the brands out there that really help sustain independent filmmakers with grants and things like that, like G-Tech and Teradek? And I just think one of the really essential parts of your education has to be knowing and understanding the tools that people like me, and there's lots of us in LA who are independent filmmakers who saw a problem that we all had and that they wanted to solve. You need to know what those are. And they're not going to teach them to you in film school, because like film school is a very sort of traditional mechanism. You're going to learn about how to use cameras and get through, it's going to be like the craft, right? But when you're talking about the business, there are so many filmmakers out there who have built essential tools for you to be able to collaborate, distribute, monetize, market. Go out there and learn about VHX and Big Vision Empty Wallet and all of the grant programs that can sustain you and all of the networking organizations that link you into thousands of other filmmakers. It's really important that you know and understand the tools available in the community that's here to support you, so that when you're like, I need to know about a distributor, you can post on the right forum and you'll get a reliable answer. That part's really important. And thank you guys for your time and your questions today. I love talking to students. It's my favorite. Because I get you before the industry has polluted your brain with this notion that you have to wait to be picked. You don't have to wait to be picked. You can pick yourself and build the career you want. That is the beauty of graduating film school today that didn't exist 10 years ago. So congratulations to all of you. You're in a really good time.
Emily, you're fabulous as always. I absolutely appreciate that. Have a fun time on set. Thank you so much.
All right,
I will talk to you sometime soon just to debrief, but thank you
Great.
again and again.
You bet. Take care. Have fun, guys.